Okay, let's talk about negation. So the negation of a statement. Remember, we're working with statements. The negation of a statement is the opposite of the original statement. Seems pretty straightforward. So basically, an example would be, if you're saying the cat is black, the cat is black. What would the negation of that be? It would just be like saying that the cat is not black. That's all negation is. And it works the other way too. If I were to say the ball is not red, the negation of that would be the ball is red. So something to note, conditional statements can be either proven true or false. To prove it's true, you have to come to that conclusion every time when the hypothesis is true. To show it's false, you only need to show one counterexample. So that means that if I said all birds can fly, or if an animal is a bird, then it can fly. A counterexample would be, a penguin. All you need to say is that one statement to show that that entire thing is false. The entire thing is false. In order to prove something true, it's much harder. You'd have to prove it using arbitrary statements. So it's pretty hard to prove something's true. That's kind of what we did in the last remote lesson, in which we were writing those statements and reasons and we didn't use specific numbers. So that's how you would prove something's true. To prove something's false, all you need is one reason why. So let's talk about some different ways that we can mess around with our statements, that we can kind of rearrange and mess with our hypothesis and conclusion, or our if and then. So, a converse. To write the converse of a conditional statement, that means that you're going to exchange the hypothesis and the conclusion. And we're going to talk about an example in a bit. The inverse is to negate both the hypothesis and the conclusion. So we're going to negate both the hypothesis and the conclusion. Confused on what negate means? We just talked about it. Negation, meaning we're going to flip it. The cat is black, the cat is not black. Finally, the contrapositive is to write the converse and then negate the hypothesis and the conclusion. So that sounds pretty crazy. So first we're going to write the converse, which is exchanging the hypothesis and the conclusion. That means flipping the order, and then negate both. So it's kind of a combination of the first two. All of these might sound pretty similar, but we're going to get really different statements coming out of them, and they're going to hold true or false, like they're going to be different depending on what we do. So let's talk about a conditional statement. A conditional statement that we can start with is, if the measure of angle A is 99 degrees. If the measure of angle A is 99 degrees, then angle A is obtuse. You'd all agree that if something's over 90 degrees, then the angle is obtuse. So let's talk about the converse. How do we do the converse? We're going to flip them. We're going to exchange the hypothesis and the conclusion. We're going to flip these. Exchange the hypothesis and the conclusion. So, if angle A is obtuse, then the measure of angle A is 99 degrees. Is that true? If an angle is obtuse, then it's 99 degrees. I can think of a bunch of angles that are obtuse. That doesn't necessarily mean they're exactly 99 degrees. So what does that mean about this? That means that this guy is false. So far, the converse of this one is false. All right, let's do the inverse. The inverse is to negate the hypothesis and the conclusion. So let's negate the first part. The first part, if the measure of angle A, let's negate it, does not equal 99 degrees. Then the original says, then the angle A is obtuse. So that means then angle A is not obtuse. All right, let's think about this. If the measure of angle A does not equal 99 degrees, then angle A is not obtuse. Can you think of an angle that does not equal 99 degrees that is obtuse? I can. 101, 179, 153. There's a lot. So this one's also false. This guy's false. I'm going to put a big F for false. All right, finally, the contrapositive. We're going to do both. First, we're going to flip it, and we're going to negate it. So let's flip them, just like the converse. We started with if angle A, and the converse here, it says if angle A is obtuse. So if angle A is not obtuse, then the measure of angle A is, in this one it says is 99 degrees, so we're going to say is not 99 degrees. All right, if angle A is not obtuse, then the measure of angle A, I'm going to say does not equal, it's like saying does not equal 99 degrees. Let's think about this. If you have an angle that's not obtuse, that means it's either acute or right, then it does not equal 99 degrees. Well, I can't think of an angle that's not obtuse and does equal 99 degrees. So that means that one's true. It's true. So far, the only two things that we got that were true was the one that we had that we knew was true, that we set it up that way. The converse and the inverse in this case were false. However, when we did the converse and the inverse together, which is the contrapositive, it turned out to be true. So this is the things that you can do to mess around with the form, but it can change the meaning. So if the if-then form is true, then the converse will be false, the inverse will be false, but the contrapositive will be true, unless you have a very special statement that could work both ways. All right, I want you guys to try this one.